As far as the interests of the state, if you are looking at the rural counties, I would say no. The events are going to be taking place in the largest populations. We aren't going to have an event here. It's not going to have a trickle-down effect because that kind of an event is good for the location that it's in. The hotels, the restaurants, people spending their money, and maybe some gift shops and things like that. That will be localized to the area that they're actually in. Now, Glendale, at the last Super Bowl, they lost $2 million on it. And now it's proposed that we might give them the $2 million so that they can take care of their traffic. But the Super Bowl is a nonprofit organization, and it really should be paying for this on its own if it needs traffic control. Now, I understand that the mayor of Glendale is a good friend with these two men. They served with them. They have the same campaign consultant and the same lobbyists. And so I'm not surprised that it was introduced by Mr. Gowan. But it is not going to trickle down to the rural areas. And we're supposed to be representing the rural area. So I'm not too sure why it was that he introduced the legislation and not somebody in Glendale.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Syfert. Mr. Stevens, if you would respond to that question. And if you need me to repeat it.
No, I don't. No. Did I get my 3 minutes or my 2 minutes? It doesn't matter. 3 minutes. All right. First of all, we don't have lobbyists. I'm not sure where that's coming from. But, and Mr. Wires is a good friend of ours. He was one of our mentors when we got there. This is a public safety bill. And I'm not going to talk too much about it since it's Mr. Gowan's bill that he can explain more. When these people come into Glendale and they eat their food there, they drink their drinks, and they stay at the hotel, that brings in sales tax revenue. That sales tax revenue is shared throughout the state. We are a state shared revenue state. So that money is divided up equally among all the counties. So we will benefit in the rural area from these events. Recently in the news, you saw about the Boston bombing, the Boston Marathon. They had they had envelopes with suspicious powder sent to the current Super Bowl. The FBI is going to be here also. Thank you. So public safety is one of the major things the state is required to perform. But I will yield the rest of my time to Mr. Gowan if he needs to, but it will benefit our counties. Thank you.
Mr. Gowan.
Would you read it one more time so I hear
Yes.
all the...
Representative Gowan, you're familiar with the man, right? Has introduced a bill to have the state of Arizona reimburse cities up to $3 million in expenses. Got it?
No, in expenses, right? No, that's false there. That's the point. So, the problem here is we had an AP reporter from Phoenix release a report out that discussed it in this manner. I apologize, but that discussed it in the manner of the issue you're talking about here. It is a reimbursement, but it's for public safety, period. It's a public safety issue. I was a chairman of military affairs public safety for 2 years. And before that, I was vice chairman. So I know the occurrences here with the public safety issues in this state. Now, a large magnitude like this with a Super Bowl or a major event, I mean, the year after that, we're getting the championship bowl for college football. We're looking at that. We're looking at maybe getting the Republican National Convention here. And, maybe the Democrats get their national convention as well. The point of the fact is, when there's a large event like this occurring after 9/11, and you talk about what occurred, President Stevens was talking about the Boston Marathon with those type of things, and even at some past Olympics here, we have to make sure that our citizens are protected. And the point of the fact here is this is a reimbursement issue. So it's not an upfront issue where you're going to pay with your taxes, you pay with your taxes, I pay with my taxes. This is reimbursed from what has occurred from dollars that came in from a major event. Now, if we're going to talk about Super Bowl, it's not a Super Bowl bill, it's a major events bill. But if we're gonna talk about the Super Bowl in this factor, without the Super Bowl, there is no reimbursement. So there's no need for public safety. Since we are trying the Super Bowl here, by the way, which is bid on by the state, not Glendale itself. The state bids on this. So when those things come, we need to make sure that the population is safe. Now, these dollars that are going to be used are only dollars that come from certain events like this. So once the dollars come in, it's done. We audit it. And after we audit it, we make sure that it is proper for them to be reimbursed. And at that point, the dollars go to them up to $2 million. It's been amended down, by the way. So it's not that large anymore. It's at the $2 million. And we're throwing an audit on it so we can look at it and study it for the future when we do have more major events. The reality here is if you want to talk about a Super Bowl, we can talk about a Super Bowl and what dollars those bring in. But this has nothing to do with bringing in any of these events. It only has to do with keeping people safe. And if we're going to talk Super Bowl or large events, any of those dollars and all of those dollars that come into the state are extra dollars. And as Representative Stevens was talking about, those are shared revenues to every city here and every county in this state. When you have a large event like that, we all benefit off of that. Not just those taxes, but we have what we call HERF. Don't I have a 2-minute rebuttal too?
You're out of time.
Don't I have a 2-minute rebuttal?